Welcome back, friends. We're going to do a video here called Double Vision, and it's going to be interesting because we aren't going to do one screen door like we did before, but we're going to do two. Let me show you what we're going to be doing. Okay, what we've got is a customer requested to have a screen doors made, and they want them to be a barn door type to where they're going to slide. So what they picked out was a bear design, and what it's going to be is they're going to be opposed to each other. And so we got some double duty routing, and if everything works out right, I'm going to try something different on video here, and we'll just see how it works out. But I'm not making any promises.
I hear you been asking about me, where I've been and where I sleep. It's hard to find me if you really want to. Turns past that Texaco sign. Same ball cap, same worn boots, trying to outrun the thought of you. But in this town the truth don't stop. You can't live in a town this small. You can change your mind but not your past. Every mile just feels like moving half. You can change my name in your phone. You can't leave in a town this small. I moved on but not too far, just down the road from who we are. You can change your hair, change your street, but you can't outrun the memories. Nah, I ain't mad, I just laugh sometimes. How love can fade, but this town stays mine. They say small towns just don't forget. I guess you're right about that. You can change your mind but not your past. Every mile just feels like moving half. You can change my name in your phone. You can't leave in a town this small. Every red light still knows your car. Every porch light still breaks my heart. You can back it up, girl, burn it all. You can't leave in a town this small. Don't go too far when it's written in the counting stars. I try leaving, tried it all. You can't leave in a town this small. Yeah. Ooh. You can change your mind but not your past. Every mile just feels like moving half. You can change my name in your phone. You can't live in a town this small. Every red light still knows your car. Every porch light still breaks my heart. You can back it up, girl, burn it all. You can't live in a town this small. You can change your mind but not your past. Every mile just feels like moving half. You can change my name in your phone. You can't live in a town this small. Every red light still knows your car. Every porch light still breaks my heart. You can back it up, girl, burn it all. You can't live in a town this small.
Okay, I'm outside here. We're going to go ahead and spray this and see how we do. We're using, again, we're using the Rust-Oleum Ultra Matte Flat primer. See what we get here. They say it doesn't have to be all completely black, but I want to get all the highlights as much as I can on there. And we'll go to the other side here in a second. You want to make sure you get it to where you look at it from all positions. You don't see any wood. I don't know if you noticed in the video while I was carving that the board started to warp a little bit, and that's basically best way I can put it is if your center was being carved out, you'd probably warp a little bit too. But after we get the spray on, it should seal it up, and once we get it sanded, it should be okay. Okay, I'm going to take you off camera here and I'm going to finish the rest of this up. Okay, we're going to go ahead and sand this off. We're going to start out with 80 grit and work our way from 80 grit to 120 grit. And because it's going to be a screen door, we'll probably even go over at 220. But all we're going to do is we're going to sand off what we don't need. Well, there's one down. Looks pretty nice. We'll go see what its mirror image looks like here. We'll go ahead and swap them out. Hello folks, we're back we're going to go ahead and finish up this double vision screen doors. Tim's going to be over here to give me a hand finishing this up. What we're going to be doing is doing the frame out, and then we're going to be routing out the groove for the screen, and we should be pretty well set. Now what I'm going to do is I'm only going to go ahead and videotape one of these doors because doing both of them would just take too long, and but you'll get the gist of it for each one of the doors. So okay, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, as usual, we got ahead of ourselves. We got to put the camera on, but what we've done is we've gone ahead and we've put the middle brace or the bottom brace on. We went ahead and we used biscuits with pocket hole screws and glue just for the bottom of the door. And up here, all we did for the center, because it's flush, we went ahead and we used just glue and pocket hole screws. And that'll be enough to hold this in. And then this is going to be without the section down there. We got a 4.5-inch piece going across for the top of this, and that will be biscuited and screwed in as well. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to pocket hold this from down there and all the way down on the sides, and put some glue in, and that should hold it up pretty good. Now mind you, this is not your typical screen door. As we were saying earlier, this is going to be set up on barn door rails, and they will both be sliding outward to be able to go outside off their deck. So it's going to be a pretty interesting project. Doors, it's going to look really good, and underneath I've got paper covering up the seam that we went ahead and routed out in the earlier video. And yeah, I think we're going to do pretty good. So when my coworker comes back, we'll go ahead and put pocket holes in that style over there, and then we'll put them in over here, and then we'll hopefully, if I remember, we'll videotape that of us putting them together. And then once we get that all assembled and we get the top on this one, we will be making plugs, and we're going to plug all these pocket holes, because this will be the outside facing to the outside, and the bears will be facing from the inside, because the customer wanted to be able to look out off the deck and be able to see the bears from the inside. So okay folks, we're going to go ahead and take a little break, and we'll be right back.
About 1/8 of an inch
Yeah, we'll
short here. We're good to get it. Put
square
up into it. Yeah. Okay.
We push it over. Yeah, take up that 1/16 down there.
Sand it in a little bit. We'll have it nice and perfect.
There. And And that's how we make a door. Okay, we're all set up to do our pocket hole plugs for the doors themselves. And basically what it is you have a plug cutter adapter that fits into your into the K4 pocket hole jig system, and you have a special drill that has a counter hole in it. So when you drill into the wood, it puts it in at about a 15-degree angle, same angle as the pocket hole that you drill with the pocket hole jig, and it just makes a plug. And once we get done with that, making it, then we put it on the bandsaw to cut it off the boards. So what I've done is I've cut roughly about a 4x4 piece of wood. So what I can do is I can go through, do one side, flip it over, and do it the other way. Now, Craig says you can use this either with the grain or against the grain. And my past experience, and we discussed this, Tim and I discussed this with these doors, that because we're going to be going with the grain and our pocket holes are against the grain, that it probably won't make a difference, show up as much. It might, but you know, that's the nature of the beast. If you go in with the grain, it has a tendency of breaking apart. Once you drill, you can feel the drill kick a little bit, and it's taking chunks out, and you don't have a fully formed pocket or a plug. So what we're going to do is we're going to make all these to go with the grain or vertical, and that should eliminate that issue. And as long as we make enough to go color with the wood itself, we should be all set. So all you do is you just take it, and we're using this small hole here, so you can get somewhat close to the edge. We'll go right to the edge right there. You clamp your board in just like you would as if you're doing a pocket hole. And I've got the shop vac hooked up to pull the dust out, because it will generate quite a few chips. And we'll take the drill, and I'll make 3 or 4 of them here just to show you how it works. So I'm going to turn the vacuum on. Okay, so essentially you have plugs that are made, and all we have to do is cut them at an angle off the bandsaw on the side, and that angle when you cut them will be the correct angle as if it was put in with a pocket hole, and they'll slide right in. Put a little glue on them, they'll protrude about 1/16 of an inch out of the surface of the wood, and for a quick fix all you do is sand it down with the rest of the board, and it saves. What's nice is you're using the wood that you made the project with, okay? Using the wood that you made the project with, and so it matches, okay? You can buy plugs, but some of the plugs that I've seen that they have are plastic, and they're white colored for like laminates and stuff. But I always find that this is a lot nicer to have the natural wood that goes with it. And if you match it up the color wise, can't even see it. So okay, well, I got my chair here, and I've got all my boards here. I only got to make 46 more, so we'll see what happens here. Okay, we'll shut the camera off so I won't bore you anymore with it, and then I'll show you how we cut them off. Okay, we got all of our plugs cut, and now we got to just go ahead and make a mark across each edge, and then put tape over the top of the plugs so when we cut them on the bandsaw they don't go flying all over the place. So what we got to do is we got to go about 3/16 of an inch in. I might go just a hair there to compensate for the pencil. And all you do is just basically mark from one end and what we'll do is we'll cut on this side of the arrow, or that side of the line, and that will take off each one to where we can go ahead and use it for the pockets. So I'm going to go ahead and mark all these, and then I'll show you how we cut them on the bandsaw. I'll be right back. Notice I got the table set at a 15-degree angle bevel, and that's basically the same as the pocket hole when it's drilled into the wood. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the board and put it up here, run it through with a line on the lower side of the blade, run it through, and it should take all these plugs off. And the end of the plug, if you're under 3/4 or 3/4 of an inch or less in thickness of board, you want to go 15-degree angle. But if you're over 3/4 up to 1.5 inches, Craig is saying that you don't have to worry about that. You can just leave it at a 90-degree and cut it off at a 1/4 inch or 3/16 of an inch and just leave it as a 90-degree. But if you leave it as a 90 on the smaller wood, you'll have a tendency of having a void and not sealing up the plug itself, or the hole itself completely. So let me go ahead and get the shop vac turned on, and we'll go ahead and get this fired up, and we'll show you how it's done. Excuse me. As you can see, there's your 15-degree angle declination for your pocket hole, and evidently I didn't go far enough. I went up to a 1/4 inch on one and 3/16 on the other, and still didn't cut all the way through to loosen them up, so I'm going to have to go back through it again one more time. And my plug hole cutter might be, stock collar might be off just a little bit. I'll have to check that out. I haven't used it for a while, so my error. Should have had it pre-checked beforehand, but we'll see. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of these off camera, because we have 204 of them to do, and or 204 plugs out of 17 blocks. So, and we only need 46, but I figured I'll go ahead and put them in a plastic container, and then I'll have them for future use on another popular wood project. Okay folks, here it is. We got it all done. Both of them together. This is what it's going to look like.